What's up, everybody? Welcome to A Cast for Crows, our Game of Thrones-inspired podcast here on deadscreen.net. This week, we are back to discuss Season 7, Episode 3, titled The Queen's Justice. I am Joe.
I'm Alexa.
Oh, man.
Lovely intro as always, guys.
Season already, kind
Almost. I made that mistake of saying that in front of my family, and they're like, "Are you stupid?" Like, there's definitely like 5 episodes left. Or 4.
It's
yeah,
weird,
4.
Though. That's...
Well, it's 4 episodes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They gave me so much crap for it, so I'm just not even going to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, but like, I feel like we should be just starting, and now it's like we're kind of just finishing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going slowly, so...
No, that's true. It is a quicker pace season, but it just feels weird.
I think part of it is they're completely past every piece of book material now, and I feel like they've lost the spirit of the books in that they're going so fast that it's no longer about, like, you don't get to see any of what the characters encounter on their journey. It's just now they're, like, teleported.
Right.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, the whole vibe of this season... Like, it's definitely good. I don't want to make it sound like I don't enjoy this season, but it does feel like we're trying, like, the showrunners and the fans are kind of like, all right, let's just get this show, like, kind of rolling. To where, like, we're seeing all the stuff we've wanted to see for a long time, but exactly what you said, we're missing that, like, journey aspect. And, like, it's very quick. You're just getting, like, the meaty chunks. You're not getting all of the kind of character development and story, being laid out, and sort of some of that world building stuff that, we've had 7 seasons worth of already, but it's a very different feeling season. And I'm sure we've said that every single episode so far, but it just, this just reinforces it, this last episode.
Yeah, I mean, and like we say every single time, it's just because it's a shorter season, and we really have gotten 7 seasons worth of, like, development.
Right, but...
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, that's a justification.
Right. What is the point of it, though? Why not just say, okay, we're going to have a regular Season 7 and a regular Season 8 and end it? What is this? What was the justification for, like, this weird...
I don't know if it was just, like...
Like, is everybody kind of burnt out?
It's getting too expensive, or maybe
or they're just, like, out of...
it's that too. I don't really know.
Being so far out of book material is, like...
I think that's also part of it, and I think that's why, because we're supposed to be getting, like, a 2-year gap instead of a 1-year gap between seasons, and I think that's why we're getting that gap, so that there can be more stuff to, like...
What?
Yeah, we're getting a longer gap.
So we're going to get 7 episodes, or 8 episodes, whatever it is.
I think it's 7.
And then we have to wait 2 more years?
Yeah.
What? Why?
I didn't hear that. Are you sure?
I've heard that by several different people.
That seems way too long. Like, I'm not going to care at that point.
I think that they might fill in with maybe some of the spin-offs or something. But I've heard that it's going to be a 2-year gap. Maybe I'm totally in the wrong, but this is what I've heard by a lot of people.
Man, I hope you're wrong.
Before we dig into, like, specific topics, I want to say about the Queen's Justice that I think this was a bottom 5 of all time episode for me.
Whoa!
I hated nearly everything about it. We'll dig into topics soon enough, but I kind of wonder what your thoughts were on the episode as a whole first.
I didn't hate it. I mean, I think it was not one of my favorites, but I definitely wouldn't put it in my bottom 5.
So, I don't know if I'd put it in my bottom 5 because I don't know how there have been many episodes that I've just, like, left and been like, dang, I wish I didn't watch that one. Like, certain Lost episodes. But
always going back to Lost.
I get how you could have that reaction to this episode. Like, I can totally see it, especially from... I don't know. I get it. I didn't hate it, but I get it.
Like, we'll get into it as we go into each topic and whatever, and then I'll come back to that at the end of this episode, and then we'll see what you guys think. But Alexa, I know you have tons of topics you want to get into, so
I have
I'll let you
several
take it from
topics.
here.
Yeah, so I mean, we started the episode at Dragonstone. We got the super long-awaited Jon and Daenerys, and it was awkward as shit. But yeah, I mean, I did like some things about it. I'm going to say straight up. I loved the hints at Jon's parentage, even though they're kind of cheesy. But it's like stuff that like we know, where we see like the dragon just like swoop up over him, and it's just like, yep, that's because you're a Targaryen. And then Dany basically just being like, I'm the last Targaryen, and like everyone literally being like, no, you're wrong. But us, not people on the show.
So go ahead, Andy.
I know this because I'm a show watcher who's been educated by two other more intelligent show watchers. But when and how would Jon and Daenerys come to that conclusion?
What?
That they're related.
So, I mean, I was going to talk about that much later on. But I do think that, I mean, Bran knows. So Bran could totally tell him.
That's
and
right.
I think that's why he went to Winterfell in the first place.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I found this first meeting of Jon and Daenerys to be something of a letdown. Reason being because I think a lot of it went how we predicted last week, but it felt like they were both kind of being petulant children.
Mm-hmm.
And like Jon's there for about 2 minutes, and already Daenerys is whining that, Lord Tyrion, this guy won't bend the knee for me. He won't call me queen or something like that. Like, she's already complaining.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like Tyrion and Davos basically had to play their parents to stop them squabbling. And I'm like, really, guys? And even Jon's saying, like, we don't have time for this squabbling, but that's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, you could have easily just bent the knee. But, so question for book reader. So, I don't even know how much time has technically passed since all of this has happened from the beginning. But, like, how old are they supposed to be around this point? Because, like, that kind of makes me think that, like, maybe they're still supposed to be teenagers, and that's why they're acting like little shits.
They are about, I want to say 16, 17 range.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely, like, later teen years.
So basically the insufferable years.
Which
is why we got that.
You could say that, but the point is, like, we see, like, we're watching these people grow up and get older, and you feel like after 6 full seasons now, they should be fully developed characters. They should be, Jon in particular should be fully aware of what he needs to do, how he needs to ally with Daenerys, and it just felt like it was unnecessarily dragged out so that Tyrion and Davos could just show them how to be mature adults.
Right.
Yeah.
It did seem weird because, like, even a little bit later on in the episode, he was like, yeah, everybody told me I was an idiot for coming here, and now I'm here and I feel like an idiot. And I was like, you just fought, like, pretty hard to come to this thing, and you're just going to argue for, like, 5 minutes and be like, dang, she doesn't like me, this is worthless. Like, it seems like he gave up kind of quick.
Yeah, I think they were both just expecting very different things to happen from the meeting, and, like, it didn't go the way they planned. It was just really awkward, I will admit to that it was just, like, kind of a letdown, because, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have been expecting this for a very long time. I know a lot of people ship Dany and Jon, so I feel like a lot of people were really excited to see this, and it was just, like, super tense.
Like, I'm cool that, like I understand people shipping them, and, you know, after the episode, people are already talking about were there hints of future romance and whatnot, but, like, I didn't expect them to automatically just fall for each other. I didn't even expect them to do, like Dany and Yara last season were getting flirty. I didn't even expect them to do that. I guess I just expected them to be more
adult,
diplomatic, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that from either one of them. And so this, just the fact that it just felt like it was kind of forcibly dragged out to 2 full scenes before they came to some sort of an accord.
Yeah. It was weird. I will admit to that. which is probably one of the things that did disappoint me the most about the episode. So, yeah. But we had our light moments. We had, as I wrote down here, Homegirl has too many titles. And it was just such a funny moment for Missandei to be like, Daenerys,
Just,
Stormborn of House Targaryen,
on
Mother of Dragons, the Unburnt, Breaker of Chains, and just like, oh my god, get over with it. And Sir Davos just like, they're just like, Sir Davos and Jon are just like looking at each other like, fuck.
What do we do?
And then
Like,
he's just
okay,
like,
this girl thinks a lot of herself.
She
this
gets a
is
new title for like every single thing she does.
Yeah. But it was just so funny to have this, like, the little, like, yep, this is Jon Snow.
I mean, I feel like it kind of shows a little bit of the different paths that they both took to get there. Like, Jon should have, or could have, the equivalent amount of, like, weird titles. But he was just, like, running around actually fighting for stuff. And so he doesn't, he doesn't have people who are going to give him, like, whatever weird...
Jon Snow, the Lazarus of Westeros.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
weird stuff.
I mean, I think it also just kind of speaks to their characters. I feel like, Daenerys isn't necessarily as humble as Jon. It speaks to their upbringing.
Yeah, for sure.
Jon was this, like, lowly bastard his whole life, so he's not someone who's going to be like, yeah, I'm, like, this all-powerful, like, undead / alive person who, like, has killed a bunch of, like, White Walkers and stuff. So it just is really interesting to see, like, this juxtaposition of the characters.
So they did this after all that stuff. Davos was explaining something about, what Jon was trying to do, and was about to say that he had been, killed and brought back, and they both were sort of like, stop for a second. And I didn't quite understand why they were so interested in keeping that quiet.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that either.
I literally explained this to my friend yesterday, and I totally forgot my explanation. But, like, I had, like, a legitimate, like, observation where it was something like, maybe he doesn't want to, like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to, like, brag about this, or, like, it was, like, maybe he doesn't want people to know this about him, because it's kind of, like, a big deal, and he doesn't want to seem like a threat to people when he's, like, asking for shit. So I don't think he wants people to, like, try to kill him again, because he's, like, this, like, I mean, not immortal, but, like, he's this being who gets killed and can be brought back to life, and I think that's just very threatening to people.
Right.
Because it makes him very powerful. That was the only justification I could find for it.
Especially if he's going around arguing for people to come fight the army of the dead.
Yeah, that also is part of it. Like, you can't, like, it might make people question, like, what side he's allied to, because he technically is part of the dead. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's weird, like, I get that the White Walkers were always, like, sort of not a fairy, but, like, a story that
they're like
told.
A legend.
Right.
They're a legend.
But, like, there's just so much weird shit that goes on in that universe that it seems, I feel like some people should believe.
And it's like Daenerys has
easier.
Dragons that she brought back that were, like, literally fossilized. Like, why is it so impossible for something, like, supernatural to happen? Because you tell any, like, before Daenerys even, like, had her dragons, you say, oh, girl, you can have some dragons. Like, she would have been like, no, dragons have been dead for, like, centuries. Just as the White Walkers have been.
Dragons were something that existed. Like, why? I don't know. It just is. I get frustrated a lot because Jon's like, this thing's real, and everybody's like, sure, whatever, nerd. And it's like, I feel like people should believe him a little bit quicker just because of the world of, Westeros and all that stuff. Unless, like, we, as viewers, we get to see, like, every little bit of the weird stuff, and most normal people don't.
Which also very well may be part of why he didn't talk about being dead. Because, like, let's picture where it's already weird enough that he's talking about White Walkers, and now it's like, by the way, I died and I came back, Like, I think it would totally shoot down his credibility.
Right. They'd be like,
That's
"This
what I
dude's
was
drunk."
thinking too. She just wouldn't believe him.
Yeah.
It's like he's
there
already
are
testing
several different-
himself enough with talking about the White Walkers and the Night King. It's like, telling her I came back to life after I got stabbed like 100 times. That might be a little too much to take right off the bat.
Yeah, they very well might be like, this dude is insane. He spent way too much time at the wall.
Yeah. I feel like Tyrion is, like, the big key here, because even early on, Jon was like, do you think I'm a liar? You know, in regards to all this? And he's like, no, but it still seems kind of, like, I feel like he's the key to getting the whole thing, you know, everybody actually worried about what's north of the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think since Tyrion knows pretty much, he knows Dany and Jon. I don't know, he doesn't know Sir Davos, correct?
Only from the Battle of Blackwater.
Okay. So he's kind of the only person there who, like, knows everyone and knows that they can all be trusted. So he's definitely super important. One thing I just thought of, did anyone find it strange with the thing that Melisandre said to Varys? Like, are we not putting any, like, thought into that as to what she meant that he has to die in this strange world too?
Is it because, so I took that as two things, and you have to remember that I'm an idiot. So it was either she was, like, letting him know that he's going to die, quote unquote, soon, or she was letting him know that he is some, like, slightly otherworldly being like she is. Because don't we, like, she's a weird old woman witch sort of thing. Like, we don't know too much really about her. And so I felt like she was either letting him know that, like, hey, I kind of know your secret, or hey, you're probably going to die soon. I don't know which one, but that was what I took from it.
She's from Volantis, right?
She's journeying to Volantis. I think she's originally from Ashai.
Okay. She's not from the same place as Varys, right? Like, Varys is from King's Landing, no? Or, well, Westeros.
I thought Varys was born somewhere out east, and then he journeyed to Westeros after he was, like, castrated.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe they knew each other from before or something, and they're, like, maybe she does know that he's some kind of weird supernatural entity. I kind of just took it, like, maybe she knows that he has an important role to play, and his role is probably going to be to die. But I don't really know.
I mean, as far as Andy's 2 points, I think you're right on both counts. I've always felt that book Varys definitely has something supernatural about him, because there's been hints toward that. I'm not so sure about show Varys. It's possible. But I definitely...
Do you know any off the top of your head? The hints?
I do. They were back in the first book when he was plotting with Illyrio on behalf of, like, Viserys and them. When Illyrio, he said, like, Varys said something like, I have no special powers or anything, I just have my little birds. And Illyrio goes, no, you, my friend, are a true wizard, or something like that. And a lot of people think it means more than meets the eye. But I took it like the other point you made is just that she meant they're both probably going to die before this story is over. That's all I really took from it.
Okay. I just figured I'd bring it up because I did kind of think it was a little weird.
Varys always gets freaked out when he's confronted by a red priestess. You guys notice that? And it's always a little off-putting to me because Varys is like one of my favorite characters, and seeing him so freaked out like that, it just
he's usually really cool. Like,
he's always calm and collected.
Cool
he seems to knows just about everything, but he was freaked out by Melisandre right then. It was just kind of interesting to see.
Maybe he's like destined to die by the hand of a red priestess or something.
No.
I was just thinking that could be a possibility. But yeah, so back over in King's Landing, we had the nice gift that Euron brought Cersei, bringing the sand snake. I don't know what her name is.
Tyenn.
I can't keep track of them. I know one of them's name is Obera, and that's it.
She gone.
Yeah. And Ilaria, of course. So, what do we think about the little poison?
I mean, I thought it was very on brand for her.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like something she would do, especially the comment, keep the torches lit so she can see. Like, it was very on brand for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what I thought too. I just thought it was really interesting that she did it the same way that Marcella was killed. But I could tell the second, because I knew she was wearing lipstick. I was like, that, she's going to totally do it.
Very, like, they made a point for that.
Yeah.
This was probably one of my favorite scenes in the episode because I thought not only was it extremely well acted, particularly by the two Dornish characters, but I thought, like, there was a lot of speculation about whether we'd see the mountain and how she was talking about maybe the mountain might come crush her skull or something. But I thought having the looming threat of the mountain just kind of verbally, rather than actually showing him, had the perfect effect on those two because you could just see them like mentally going to pieces before she even applied the poison to the daughter. And I thought it was kind of a poetic justice almost for the way that young innocent Marcella was killed the same way. But I just thought it was terrific by the director to have like the threat of a crushed skull or the threat of rape without actually having us see it. They just had the thought of it there. And and then of course, once Cersei leaves and they're trying to like reach each other and they can't communicate with each other, I just thought it was a very powerfully acted scene. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. And just hearing, what was her name again? Tyann?
Yes.
That's how little I care about them now, which is such a bummer. But just her screaming like "Mama" also is very like, not sad because I don't care about them, but like it was very powerful.
Another effect this scene had is that after everything Cersei has done in 6.5 seasons now, I felt vengeance on her behalf because I still felt sorry for Marcella being killed in that way. And I was thinking to myself as that scene was ending, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I'm having this feeling like on Cersei's behalf because I hate her, but I still love seeing her get that particular revenge.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's a really good point because, like, exactly what you said, almost everything she's done up to this point, you've kind of been rooting against her, and just not at all in this scene. You're totally on her team.
Yeah, well, Marcella's death was so, like, unnecessary and just, like, messed up, and, like, she was one of the good ones. It's a shame she had to die in such a brutal manner, so, yeah, I totally agree. I was on her side on this one.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Yeah, so, all this war has basically left the Lannisters totally bankrupt, which I never saw coming. But
did we not know that was gonna happen? Didn't they go
it makes
to
sense.
The bank and the bank was like, yo, you gotta get your shit together? And who went to the bank? Wasn't it Jaime? Somebody went to the bank.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Cersei had a meeting with that same person, I think, previously, and then a few seasons back, Stannis and Davos met with them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. They went to the bank. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just interesting to see, like, the wealthiest family has fallen so far because they're so entrenched in all these little wars.
I have a random thought that occurred into my head during that scene. I don't even know that character's name, the banker, but he just mentioned that he was from Bravos, and they kept showing like this mischievous smile on his face like 3 times. Does anyone else think it could possibly be Jaqen H'ghar with that banker's face?
I didn't think about that.
Is there any reason why?
I don't know. I don't know why it would be. I was just thinking, like, why would you bring in this character that most people don't even know his name and probably won't remember? But they just cut to his face several times, and he had this very mischievous smile, like, I know something you don't. And that's just what I was thinking. I was thinking, what else could this have to do with Bravos? I'm thinking, well, Jack and Nagar looks pretty useless after that disastrous Arya storyline, so maybe he's getting back into the groove himself by putting on a face.
I seriously think his storyline was so stupid.
But I have no evidence to back that up. It's just something that popped into my head.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. Honestly, I stopped thinking about him.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Probably not true. Crackpot theory.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we all have our own crackpot theories every now and then, so it's fine.
Except Andy. He's always right.
I am. I'm very efficient with my theories.
It's not fair.
Interesting how the person who knows the least is... I think we overthink it too much because we know about the world.
You gotta look at it at face value.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about Dragonstone again, but I think it's totally unnecessary now. Basically, just kind of cleared the air with Daenerys and Jon. It's going to be able to get his dragon glass. Good times.
So, is there going to be something else down in that dragon glass cave?
I don't think so.
I can't imagine what would be down there.
I don't know.
Is there like another dragon in there?
No, but I don't know if there was something else. For some reason, when they kept talking about that cave 2 episodes ago, that's what I was thinking, that there was something else there.
I feel like that would be in the book.
Well, like,
if Sam was reading.
If Dragonglass is kind of worthless, right? Why did they go out of a way to like have the big icon on that map that Sam found? If it's supposedly worthless. So either somebody knew that it wasn't, or there's something else. I don't know. I just had a weird feeling about it.
Is Dragonglass like made of Valyrian steel?
I think maybe Valyrian steel is made out of dragonglass.
But then it's not worthless, is it? Because then Tyrion made it seem like it was kind of like just whatever. Let him take it. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he just meant it was worthless to Daenerys at that particular time.
Moment.
She doesn't need
But
any.
yeah,
She doesn't
I mean,
need any more weapons.
If it had any effect with like Valyrian steel, like wouldn't that be super like priceless? Because Valyrian steel is allegedly super rare, even though everyone has a Valyrian steel sword.
It's possible Tyrion stretched the truth there just to kind of force them to come to an accord, maybe?
Yeah, I don't really know. I just know Dragonglass is a thing, and it's important.
I don't know. I don't want to commit that to one of my theories because I don't think it has a high chance of succeeding, but it just seemed weird. So what's Bran's deal?
Okay, please let me go first on this one. This
Go
was
ahead.
another
He's
letdown
drunk.
for me. This reunion failed on every possible level for me. First, you got Bran showing up, and they played their violin music that they played when Sansa saw Jon last season, and it looks like it's going to be this beautiful family reunion again. I'm ready for the tears to well up in my eyes and fall down. And then all of a sudden, Sansa runs over to him, gives him a big old hug, and then Bran just sits there, not hugging back,
Like a
eyes
limp
open.
fish.
Then they go talk, and he's like, "So I saw you got raped, but you looked hot in your wedding dress."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm the three-eyed raven now, by the way, but I don't expect you to understand that." And it was just like
It was very strange.
he was an absolute pretentious douchebag in that scene, and it destroyed any good feeling I had of a Stark reunion. I'm sorry, I hated it. I thought the dialogue was terrible. I thought his name slips my mind, but the Bran actor, I thought it was terrible. I'm sorry, awful.
Something Hempstead.
You guys go ahead. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So.
go ahead.
Oh well, I mean, I just read the actor was basically like he's this dude with like all this shit in his brain, and he's basically a computer now, which is why he seems so like stoic. But I mean, like I think it makes sense. He's like he said, like he's existing on like thousands of planes all at once, and he's kind of trying to process all this information that he has, and he's getting it in bits and pieces. So that's really the only thing that like made sense to me. But like, I think it's like the first time we see him so weird. Because, like, I don't think he was, like, this strange prior to showing up Sansa.
No, even when he showed up at the wall, he was a little more normal. Like, he wasn't super, like, happy-go-lucky or anything, but he was still very much like, you are blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, shit. But he was, like, weird robot man.
I don't know if it's, like, his upload is still happening slowly, and, like, I don't know if it's, like, also a possibility that maybe when you become the Three-Eyed Raven, like, all the past Three-Eyed Ravens become a part of you, too. And so it's, like, affecting his personality in, like, a very strange way. I don't know. It's just, he's being weird while things are uploading.
I could have understood it if we had seen slight hints of this in previous scenes, but I feel like we didn't see anything, and he was just, like, a completely different person in that scene.
I think that's a very good point. Like, in terms of the show specifically, we didn't get any hints of that, I feel.
Could it be because he's, like, by that tree thing and, like, maybe being in the vicinity of it, like, made the upload happen more or something?
I mean, it could be any of them, but for the casual viewer, I think you need a little bit more.
Yeah, it was very strange. Everyone I know who, like, talked about it was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, why is he being so weird?
Like, Sansa's changed, too, from when she was a little girl, and they were back in Winterfell together. She's grown, she's hardened, she's gotten stronger, but we've watched her character develop over each passing season, and she still showed, you know, the humanity that you would expect from a situation like that. But yet Bran just shows up, and he's, like, a completely different person. Someone completely unlikable.
It was very, very strange of him to mention her rape. Like, very weird to be like, hey, so, like, I want you to believe me, so I'm gonna pick the most painful thing and just kind of make you relive it, just so I can prove to you that, like, I can see shit. I just thought that was very strange, too.
Yeah, like, it's, like you guys were talking about being stoic, and that's fine, I get that, but it's one thing to be stoic, it's another thing to be a heartless bastard, and that's what he was being in that scene.
Yeah, it was very weird.
I feel you.
Yeah, so back at the Citadel, Jorah is cured. I say with, like, a semi-question mark.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm very happy that he was cured. But it seems very convenient that, like, from the moment we were introduced to it, for the most part, everybody goes, oh, it's incurable. Once you have it, you're doomed, basically. Like, sometimes people can stop it, but most of the time you're just screwed and you're going to turn into a stone man, or whatever they're called. And it seems very convenient that Sam's like, I'm going to try to save this guy. Okay, I did it. Like,
here, I'm going to read some books. I'm a doctor now.
Well, yeah, like, if those books had been there, is it just because they have such a poor organization system that he happened to come across the one that he needed? Or, like...
So, no, people have tried this in the past before. It was just kind of, like, really dangerous. Like, in one of the episodes... Was it the last episode where Professor Slughorn, because I don't know his name in the show, it was basically like, yeah, this one dude cured it a couple times. You know how he died? Greyscale. So I think it's just something that they just didn't do because no one wants to get Greyscale. But I think they knew about this.
See, I've loved seeing Jorah and Sam together. I thought it was a great set of characters to, like, bring together who hadn't met before. And that part all went very well, but my problem with this whole thing is that ever since we were introduced to Shireen back in season 2 or whatever it was, they've built up Greyscale as, like, this legendary, almost otherworldly disease that's, like, impossible to cure, and Shireen's was, like, a miracle because she was, like, a child or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Jorah goes over to Sam in the Citadel. Sam just reads a book, follows some instructions, and they're like, oh, that's it, you're cured. And it's like no one else in the world could have done this. Like, really? That's it?
Like, and if they were able to stop Shireen's Greyscale, like, wouldn't they have done the same techniques? And like, why did she have this? Why did she have like all the scales on her face instead of just like little ugly scars like Jorah had?
What? I don't know. It seems to me it made something that was established and interesting and dangerous kind of worthless.
It was, again, we're seeing it more and more in these later seasons. They're just ignoring logic for the sake of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what they did again with that storyline. But again, I'm glad Jorah's healed. I love Jorah.
Yeah, of course.
And, Sam's obviously becoming a very good maester, so that's all working out great. I just think I don't know. I feel like they did the whole storyline around Greyscale a little bit of a disservice with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're just kind of like, what are you going to do now? And he's basically like, I'm going to Disneyland.
Yeah. It had a good couple seasons where you were like really stressed and worried about him, and now it's boop, beep, boop, beep, boop.
Yeah.
It's all done.
A dude read a book, found the instructions. It's like cooking a recipe every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Well, I guess we can go cure
I understand complex medicine now because I read a book.
It seemed a little weird, like, Slughorn was very much, oh yeah, like, it's super dangerous. But it worked.
Yeah.
Like,
And
then
it-
just
and it
teach some
wasn't
people to do
dangerous.
it. And then, yeah, problem solved. Start a very lucrative business. And they're like, okay, well, don't do it again. They probably threw a book in a pile and it ended up on some random floor on a different shelf.
Yeah, it was very strange.
So what else happened in this episode?
Yeah, so we went to Casterly Rock, and that was like way too easy.
Is
But
that the first time we saw that? Casterly Rock?
I feel like I've never seen Casterly Rock.
We did see it back in like season 3 or something, back when Tywin was there.
Mm.
It's been quite a
It
while.
it didn't look familiar to me or anything. I was like, oh, this is a thing. And it kind of like is not looking good for Tyrion being a good advisor
Yeah.
for war.
Yeah, second failed move in a row.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so much to talk about with this. First, I just want to establish that it wasn't really a victory that they scored at Casterly Rock, of course, because, Jaime and his army ignored it completely and went to Highgarden instead. But not only is this 2 losses in a row for Daenerys and Tyrion, but I think this establishes that we have a leaker of sorts in Daenerys' camp, because otherwise, one, somebody had to have told Euron about where Yara's fleet was going to be,
Yeah, you don't just
because he couldn't have
randomly
just
show up.
magically appeared there.
Yeah.
And then also, they had to have known that Grey Worm and them were on their way to Casterly Rock, so they decided to go take Highgarden. So, who do you guys think the leaker is?
Well, last episode I thought it was Lady Olenna. Obviously not.
Actually,
I don't know
I
if maybe
still
it's
think
like-
it is. Or
You
was.
do? Then why would she risk her life?
Because I think she purposely fed the information to Euron in particular, because when Daenerys first wanted to lay siege to King's Landing, but of course that would have taken like a year or whatever, and Olenna wasn't really for that. She was saying, you're a dragon, be a dragon. I think Olenna purposely set this up for her to lose basically 2 battles in a row here, to basically piss her off and kind of force her into going to storm King's Landing, and that pretty much ensures Cersei's death if she does that.
Yeah.
That's
That does
my
make
guess.
sense. And I think also, like, Olenna doesn't really have much left anymore because all her family is basically dead.
Yeah, nothing to fight for,
Yeah,
no
I can see that
consequences.
still, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna stick with her.
Even then, why would she be there? Why not just hang out at Dragonstone or whatever it's called? Dragon Castle.
I'm wondering that too. My theory is simply that she was worried if Daenerys finds out, she feeds her to a dragon or burns her alive or something like that. And she had to have made some kind of deal with Jaime so that, because Jaime obviously convinced Cersei to let him poison her or whatever, and then she could go out in a painless manner. That's my only theory there, is that she controlled the manner of her own death.
Yeah. I
Did
can't really think of who else would be the leaker unless it's some random person. Because I don't see any of the people who are working with Daenerys now. as someone who would leave.
Yeah, that's my thinking, is that Olenna wanted to like give Cersei and
Force
Jaime these like
Daenerys.
faux victories almost, and just piss off Daenerys into going and attacking them with the dragons. But I'm not sure.
Did we know that she was the one who poisoned
Yes.
Joffrey? We already knew that, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
she literally like had a scene. I don't know who she was talking to. I don't
Littlefinger.
remember. I just remember her. Okay, I just remember her being like, "Yeah, you think I was gonna let my granddaughter stay married to this like psychopath?"
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nope.
But I couldn't quite remember.
Yeah, you're not the only one who thought that. My friend asked me the same question, and I was like, "No, yeah, like we knew already. That wasn't something we didn't know." But I think it was great that she kind of just like drank the poison and was like, "By the way, killed your son."
Went out with one last savage blow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of King's Landing, I know you guys will remember we all kind of went on a pretty big rant about Jaime's character being assassinated when he raped Cersei a couple of seasons ago in a scene where it was consensual sex in the books. And I think we witnessed another episode of this when we all talked about how he saw the monster that Cersei had become, and like he realized what he was gonna have to do, and yet there he was, having sex with her,
Yeah,
sleeping with her.
Not doing it.
And then not only that, but when the kid comes to the door to say, I don't know, you have a visitor or something like that, there they are flaunting themselves.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's another pointless setback for Jaime's character development. But what did you guys think?
I think it's a setback, but I also think he's not totally ready to do it yet. And I think, like, as a like Lady Olenna kind of was like, yo, she's crazy. She has to be stopped. Do what's right. And I think it was like something where he was like, like she might be crazy to you, because like she sucks to you. But like I think there was like an internal struggle there, and like you could kind of see it in his face where he's like, I don't want to do this, but like I think I'm gonna have to. And I think it's just like another nudge in that direction.
What do you think, Andy?
I feel like it all just gets eaten up by the rushed seasons, kind of. Like, he's been taking these little steps back, but they normally give you a little more in-depth of a look at it. And I don't know. I don't know. Because he seemed a little against it earlier this season. Like, he was coming back to sort of what he was the last couple seasons, but he just got a blowjob and now he's fine. Like, he's back to what he was. So, I think this is one of those things where, depending on how he is, next episode will be a bigger, more important than how he handled this episode.
I just think he has like a habit of taking a step, like, you know, taking a couple steps back in like his progress, but then he always kind of comes through.
Right.
So I'm still sticking to the fact that I think he's going to be the one to kill her.
Yeah, I think Euron throws a big wrench in the whole thing. Like, he's starting to realize it, but then Euron steps in, he's like messes with his head a bit.
But I think also like Euron's going to be part of the downfall, because if she's kind of like begrudging Jaime to be like, yeah, I'm going to marry this dude eventually, and like Euron's just like, fuck you, I'm going to marry her.
Right.
I think it's kind of like also push. Like I can see what you're saying. Like he's kind of being like protective of her because of Euron, but at the same time, I think Cersei kind of like being like, yeah, I mean, whatever, I'll marry you once the war's won. Was kind of like a low blow for Jaime. He was like, oh, okay, cool.
So the CGI is pretty bad this season. Is it not? Is it just me? CGI's been really bad.
Like, what specifically are you referring
Yeah.
to?
Like, the big scene when all the Lannisters were walking up, the Lannister army, bad. There's just been a lot of, like, wide shots where they've, like... Because they've done this all series, where they've superimposed, like... They've made the army seem much bigger and more, you know... They add in a bunch of tents and horses and people walking around. And it's always been, like, a little noticeable, but I feel like it's way noticeable this season. And
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily anything different. Like, I would literally just watch an episode because my dad's basically entirely caught up. He's on season 6 right now. And they show, like, a wide shot of, like, the Dothraki, and it also is just, like, really bad.
I feel like I just didn't notice it as much in other seasons. Like, I definitely noticed it, but I feel like this season, every time they show a shot that's, like, really obvious it was CGI stuff, I feel like I can really tell, whereas before it was a little more subdued. But I also got a new TV, so
Yeah, maybe.
could be that.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, this is, like, just a season ago, and it was... I think it's just, like, the wide shots of, like, a lot of people is really, maybe, like, really difficult for them to do.
But I don't feel like it
Because-
was always that bad. I
I
feel
don't
like in the
know.
earlier seasons, I could barely tell.
I don't
It was
know.
also
I didn't
however
really pay
many
a lot of
years ago.
attention to that. It wasn't anything that stuck out
Well,
to me.
you'll pay attention next episode, and then
Okay.
next week you'll go, shit, the CGI was bad.
Okay.
Don't ask me. Not on my stream. I can't tell the difference. So.
I can't stand you.
Yeah, so that about wraps that up, unless anyone has anything else to say.
Yeah, I think I've done enough complaining for this week. Like I said, it's just mainly the time and travel mechanics that are getting me the most. But I sure hope Bran shows more of a heart next week, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
hopefully he's not just this computer.
Alexa, introduce us to your guest.
This is my cousin Felipe. Say something.
Hi,
What's up?
it's Felipe.
So,
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, yep.
I'm in this now.
We're literally finishing up.
Okay,
You want to do the sign off,
All right.
Felipe?
sure. What is it?
All right, well, I think that about wraps up this week's spirited discussion of the Queen's Justice. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at DeadScreenNet and at ACastForCrows. And we'll see you next week. Valar Morghulis.
Long, we'll do this.
Bala Morgulis, everyone!